And yeah, and you know the old commercials. And wait, there's more. Call now and you'll get a second bozo deal. No, but wait, there's more carnage, more bad news. Sorry to upset anyone that had a pension, especially in CalPERS, California pension system, on my last video. Sorry about that. Sorry about punching you in the face with truth. But here's some more truth. Speaking of people who thought they had a nice pension coming, getting absolutely destroyed. You've got 10% of what we originally promised. Sorry about that. Here's another one, zero hedge. 97 million American workers are living paycheck to paycheck. 97 million paycheck to paycheck. And I'm doing these videos, and I'm taking the crypto heat, and I'm taking all the haters and the people yelling at me, and I'm still going full force because I don't want you guys, any of you that might be in this kind of situation, paycheck to paycheck. I want you to be able to scrounge up some money, and I know some of you already have because I've got your emails. Get into cryptos and write them up. If you could do this right now for the first time, again, it's Thursday, 9/14/2017, and the cryptos have been getting hammered. It is a phenomenal time to get in and buy some. 97 million American workers are living paycheck to paycheck. As we've noted time and time again, the number of Americans scraping by with almost no money in their savings account, if they even had a savings account, is staggeringly high and growing. As the Motley Fool pointed out, website, in a recent post, the St. Louis Federal Reserve, the personal saving rate in June 2017 was a measly 3.8%, or $3.80 for every $100 that they earn. With median household income in the U.S. at just north of $50,000, that would amount to about $4,000 a year. And that's when they're saving money. Another study from Go Banking Rates found that 69% of Americans surveyed had less than $1,000 in savings, and about 1/3 had no money in reserve. Considering that the U.S. economy is 70% based on consumption, Americans are probably over-consuming rather than saving. The Federal Reserve recently released data showing that aggregate credit card debt had hit an all-time high of just over $1 trillion, eclipsing the previous high that was set before the Great Recession, 2008. And what happened after that one? We had bankruptcies left and right, so everybody got a little bit of reset, right? Everybody got a little bit of a reset. Back up again, all-time highs. Wonder how this one's going to end. Add in another trillion of auto loan debt and $1.4 trillion in student loan debt, and the aggregate debt pile is not only larger than ever before, it's growing at its fastest rate in decades. And in what's perhaps the most troubling statistic highlighted by Motley Fool website, a recent survey by Career Builder and the Harris Poll found that 78% of full-time U.S. workers, nearly 100 million Americans, are now living paycheck to paycheck, up from 75% just last year. So now it's growing, clearly, 3% higher in just a year. The survey suggested that only 19% of workers save more than $500, 501 actually, monthly, while at the other end of the spectrum, 56% of savings, were saving less than $100 a month, including 26% who save nothing monthly. Fewer than 1/3 of respondents admitted to following a budget. Meanwhile, about half of respondents said they wouldn't give up their internet, phone, or car to save money. Oh, no. Maybe once the Federal Reserve has succeeded in normalizing interest rates, spendthrift Americans will have more of an incentive to save, while also making it more expensive to pay down debt, a powerful disincentive. Now, if only the central bank could find a way to revive stagnant wages. Which leads me again to the video I was planning on doing next, which now I'm really going to do next. This whole universal basic income we keep hearing about. See, because if you could give people, say, $2,000 a month, could you, and imagine this, not just family, but imagine saying every adult, you get $2,000 a month. You now have a universal basic income. Oh, you got an 18, 19, 20-year-old living at home? $2,000 a month they've got now, plus their job, which might be minimum wage. McDonald's, whatever, plus the husband, plus the wife, whatever, 2, 4, 6,000 bucks a month coming in. Hey, that's not too shabby. And what happens next? Prices go up all around to eat up all that money. It'll equalize like it always does. Unless the government comes out and puts massive price controls on everything. Also known as part of socialism. Then again, so is handing out $2,000 a month. That's also socialism. But what else can they do? What other choice do they have? That one's next. So to kind of go with it, because that was a short video, obviously, it was just a short one from Zero Hedge, but I want to combine these two. And this other one is from Wolf Richter's site. The chilling fact record median household income is hiding. What is this? Or why consumer spending has been dragging for years. One more thing about the new Census Bureau's Income and Poverty Report for 2016, which found to the great excitement in the media that median household income, adjusted for inflation via CPI, rose 3.2% in 2016 to $59,039. Finally, a tad above where it had been. Excuse me, I really got to clear my throat for this one. Finally, a tad bit above where it had been 17 years ago. She's only 17. 17 years ago. We already found buried in it that inflation-adjusted earnings from wages, salaries, etc., for full-time employed men have fallen 4.4% since 1973. So now we'll look at another data set buried in the Census Bureau's report, which is based on respondents at 98,000 addresses across the U.S. Now notice how they're easily able to find out from 98,000 people, like a poll, 98,000 people. But when it's election time, CNN here, we've polled 1,000 people. We polled 1,000 people, and they say the Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton's going to win. We've got a 60-40 margin here. Wait a minute, you imbeciles, you oversampled the Democrats. What do you think it's going to show? And by the way, you can only get 1,000 people? How many hundreds of millions live in this country? Y'all, we polled 1,000 people. Hell, they've got 98,000 in this thing. I had to bring that up. We want to know which households were the lucky ones. And turns out there weren't very many. Earnings in this report are the fruits of labor. So wages, salaries, and the like. Household income includes not only earnings, but also money from other sources during the year. These are the sources of household income in the report. Earnings, unemployment compensation, workers' comp, Social Security, supplemental security income, public assistance, veterans payments, survivor benefits, disability benefits, pension or retirement income, interest, dividends, rents, royalties, and estates and trusts. Educational assistance. Educational assistance counts. Alimony, child support. Again, especially the child support shouldn't be on here. Financial assistance from outside of the household. And finally, my favorite, other income. What is other? Whatever we want. Other. This is critical when looking at the income distribution as to which households had the most income, because proceeds from investment, number 10, 11, 12, and 13 listed above, play a big role in households with large investments. Maybe I'll pull this up in case you want to look at it. The chart shows the top 5% of households, red line, whose inflation-adjusted household income has soared by nearly $200,000 or 112% since 1967. Wow, that's some serious inflation. Compare this to the bottom 60% of households, 3 lines at the bottom, whose incomes have booked tiny gains, with the bottom 20% gaining just $2,900 in household income over the past 50 years. Wow. Some observations. For the bottom 40% on the income scale of the households, the bottom 2 lines again, household income adjusted for inflation for the lowest quintile has dropped 9.5% since 1999. And for the second lowest quintile, household income has dropped 2.4% since 2000. Households in the third lowest quintile, 40% to 60% on the income scale, purple line, have now finally squeaked past their prior income peak in 2000, but by less than 0.5%. Households in the fourth quintile, 60 to 80% on the income scale, green line, have done reasonably well, gaining $33,000 in annual household income, 53%, over the past 50 years, and $4,000 since their prior income peak in 2000. The top 20% of households have gained $101,000 in annual household income, 91%, since 1967, and are up $15,000 from the prior peak in 2000. This group includes the top 5% where the music plays. Their prior income peak was in 2001 at $353,000. In 2016, they booked $375,000. These households now make nearly $200,000 more on an inflation-adjusted basis than they did in 1967, a 112% jump. But also note, household income in this top 5% category fell sharply during the financial crisis, and how the Fed's monetary policies designed to create what Bernanke called the wealth effect effectively created wealth and income for them, benefiting the most those households with the most assets. Hence, incomes from their investments began to surge in 2010. For them, the Fed, personified by Bernanke, was the guardian angel, while the middle class was getting further hollowed out, with the bottom 60% getting shafted. Thankfully, the Census Bureau did not provide data on the top 1% or the top 0.1%. It would have made that chart look absurd. And on second thought, for an economy based on consumer spending, strangling the incomes of 80% of those very consumers on whom the economy relies for growth, while bailing out and enriching a tiny group at the top, doesn't quite appear to be an effective economic model over the longer term. Buried in the annual income data for the Census Bureau are some facts that the media silenced to death. Men, sit down and read The Terrible Facts About Real Earnings of Men, which he links. On to my final video. Take care.